Formula One's efforts to piece together a 2020 calendar look increasingly likely to result in some surprise new additions to the schedule. F1 is aiming to extend the European season beyond the final currently confirmed race at Monza, which takes place in early September. Fellow Italian track Mugello, a MotoGP favourite that F1 has so far only used for testing, and long-time German Grand Prix venue Hockenheim are the prime candidates for any additional races. Behind them, another old F1 venue and another track that hasn't hosted a GP but has held testing are waiting in the wings. Imola and Algarve are considered long shots compared to Mugello and Hockenheim, but they're still in contention. We're going to make a case for each of those 4 circuits. Let us know in the comments which one would get your vote, and remember to like this video and subscribe to our channel. F1 was supposed to add an old school circuit with undulations, sweeping corners and looming barriers for this year, but Zandvoort's off the agenda for now, so Mugello could fill that gap quite nicely. Some of the main features that make Mugello one of the highlights of the MotoGP calendar would be lacking if it gets the nod for F1. For starters, even if Ferrari's Tifosi were allowed in, they'd struggle to match the magical atmosphere created by Valentino Rossi's army of fans. And while a series of quick S-bends are great for switchback MotoGP overtaking moves, it's not really passing territory for F1. The long pit straight, where MotoGP's bikes reach their highest speeds of the season, would probably only give us easy DRS overtakes, and that's if the chasing car can stay close enough through the long final corner where dirty air would be a major problem. But the negatives of a potentially processional race do not come close to outweighing the positives that would come from seeing this super fast generation of F1 cars swooping around Mugello. When it was last used for F1 testing in 2012, Vitaly Petrov decried it as not for Formula One on safety grounds, but that opinion was drowned out by rivals lauding it for the driving challenge. And unlike so many modern circuits, that challenge comes across just through looking at your TV screen. Like Spa or Monaco, Mugello makes you want to drive a racing car in a way that Yas Marina or Shanghai never could. A Sunday afternoon with very few overtakes would be a price worth paying to see a 2020 F1 car flicking its way through Casanova and Cervelli down into the fearsome Arrabbiata right-handers. Imola makes its own case as one of the most beautiful venues ever to have hosted a Grand Prix. The Dino Ferrari circuit's middle section climbs and dives through a beautiful rustic parkland, engine sounds echoing off the trees. It was originally a public road circuit before being ringed off, and it still carries that feel. This is a part of the world where motor racing culture lives and breathes, and it's close to Ferrari's Maranello base. The fast left-handed downhill Piratella was always one of the most demanding corners on the calendar, and it took the cars down to the valley floor over a stream, with a tight right-hander at Acqua Minerale that was very technical and tricky to get right, beginning the climb back up to the Variante Alta. Picturing Max Verstappen or Lewis Hamilton through that sequence in 2020 machinery is a tantalising image. Seeing them contest the lead as they scream down the hill to the braking area for Ravazza would make for one of F1's iconic moments of the season. Although Imola wasn't a great track for overtaking, it did produce thrilling races, as the two Fernando Alonso versus Michael Schumacher classics of 2005 and 06 demonstrated to fabulous effect. When the Autodromo da Algarve opened in 2008, there was hope that it could become a regular Formula One test venue. The in-season testing ban introduced in 2009 put paid to that, although a number of teams did run there in late 08 and early 09. It's not the ideal test circuit for F1 given its undulations and a few tricky bumps, but for a race it would present teams and drivers with new challenges. Other categories have produced decent racing at the venue, which has proved popular with drivers. The track has the necessary Grade 1 FIA licence needed to host a revived Portuguese Grand Prix, and perhaps even a second race if needed. Over a decade has passed since a frontline F1 test has been held there, so it would be a trip into the unknown for the teams and drivers. It would not necessarily be a great circuit for overtaking, with the main straight just under a kilometre long and the only other notable straight being a short downhill blast to the turn 6 hairpin, but it's a nuanced and varied track that would invite driver errors and create unfamiliar setup demands for the teams. Hockenheim is not alone in needing exceptional circumstances to make a Grand Prix at the track viable. No fans means no normal hosting fee, which means Hockenheim can be judged solely on its quality as a race venue, and under that category it fares well. It's a quick lap with a big overtaking opportunity thanks to the long straight and tight hairpin out the back. Plus the weather can always be a factor, as we've seen in the last 2 Grand Prix at the venue. Hockenheim's a better bet for decent racing than Imola, Mugello or Algarve would be, and there would be no concerns that it's capable of putting on the event properly or that the facilities would be up to scratch. The other circuits are obviously to a high standard, but there's an argument for stability and a known quantity at a time when F1 needs all the help it can get to put on a calendar without any hitches. Plus, Germany is a significant country for F1 to be in. Mercedes remains the dominant team in F1, and Germany has a great history, and crowds at Hockenheim of 165,000 and 153,000 over the 2018 and 2019 weekends showed us a strong appetite for F1 in Germany. You could view the Hockenheim organisers as greedy and question whether they really needed a massively cut-price deal to stay on the calendar with such a strong number of paying fans at the last 2 races. Or you could say it indicates how ridiculous the business model is for certain races to be held in modern F1. Either way, last year Sebastian Vettel made it clear that F1 would be losing out by not racing in Germany. Now Germany doesn't have to miss out. That's our summary of the 4 tracks trying to get onto the 2020 F1 calendar. Which one do you want to see the most, and are there any other tracks you think F1 should be considering? Let us know in the comments, and remember to like this video and subscribe to our channel.